Mahathir recently spoke at the UN General Assembly. In this video, I'll be talking about the 6 key things which I think is important not only for us Malaysians, but for the world to know. Number 1, Mahathir highlighted about the new Malaysia, how this new Malaysia wants to be able to be free to speak their minds, whether right or wrong. And I guess the question is, are we really able to attain this level of freedom? Given that recently, Gobind Singh just came up with suggestion that we need to enforce hate speech laws. But in a complex multicultural society, regulations may have helped in the past. But right now we live in an interconnected world where information transfers and goes freely across borders at the speed of light. So the question is, are we really able to attain that? Number 2, Mahathir highlighted that since he left office 15 years ago, the world was worse off. Now, is this true? Well, back in 2003, that's when the Iraq War started. And of course, things started escalating, but relative to those few years, I believe that our world is much better today, in the sense where we've got North Korea and South Korea coming together to talk about nuclear disarmament along with the US. And I feel that in that aspect, we are more peaceful. But I think the key thing that Mahathir was highlighting is about the situation in Palestine and how the media portrays Palestine or Hezbollah as a terrorist organization. He highlighted that as long as you're terrifying, you are terrorizing. And he highlighted that how Israel's reaction or response towards Hezbollah has been 100 times, 1,000 times more, where schools, hospitals are attacked in the process, terrifying its everyday citizens, and aid has been prevented from going into Palestine. So is that considered as terrorism as well? And he was saying that there's a problem in our world today where when you kill a single individual, it's considered murder. But when you kill millions, be it by an army or by nation for nationalistic purposes, for protective purposes, the individuals are labeled as a hero. Now, he talks about how peace-loving nations are out there promoting the agenda of the industrial military complex, and how he believes that these nations are playing by the warmongering methods of these industries in order for themselves to profit from it. And it is highly unethical. I believe that the world can learn from Mahathir or Malaysia's approach in non-interference, where we believe in dialogue, as a loving country and neutral country, but at the same time be willing to speak up against issues and come to a compromise without any physical interference. Number 3, free trade. Mahathir highlights how free trade is anti-tariff, but tariff is supposed to protect small countries from the rich. The question is, who pays for it at the end of the day? It is the citizens of the protectionist countries that pay. Like, for example, in Malaysia, we have a protectionist policy for the car manufacturing industry, where everyday Malaysians have to pay up to 300% tax on the cars which they purchase imported from other countries. And the question is this sustainable? This has been going on for decades, but Proton has not been successful, and right now it's been bought off by Geely from China. And Mahathir wants to push the next wave for another national car, or rather a Southeast Asian car, together with Indonesia. This is a complex issue in the sense where unless we can see the entire cost-benefit analysis, it's hard to say. I believe that yes, creating and supporting the automotive industry will help create jobs. And I believe that Mahathir is also strategically planning for us to leverage off our specialty, which is in palm oil production, together with Indonesia. And Mahathir wants to promote biodiesel use in this new car, thus creating demand. So until we can get the numbers down, I would reserve my opinion on this matter. Number 4, he talks about how free trade, even though those countries are promoting free trade, they are creating artificial barriers of perception upon commodities such as palm oil, where they label it as environmentally unsustainable, unfriendly, and highlighting the habitat destruction. But Mahathir poses this challenge to these countries. Malaysian jungles are 48% virgin jungles. Can these countries say the same about their jungles? And of course, we need to balance off this argument between the needs of humanity and society, where in this scenario, an estimated 500,000 jobs are on the line. And imagine all the other lives and families that will be affected by this if this industry goes down. And that is why Mahathir is pushing this agenda of sustainable crude palm oil. Now, whether this will come into fruition, that's another thing. But I believe that if we are able to strike a balance, that will be the best way forward, rather than going too extreme on either sides. And I will do another video if you all are interested in this, to analyze more into the data and the information to see what are the possibilities to move forward with regards to crude palm oil. Number 5, nationalism, patriotism, and globalization. Mahathir highlighted that there's a wave of nationalism and patriotism that's going across countries, where it's great to embrace it, but at the same time, not hold ourselves back from globalization. But the problem is, with globalization, we have these big corporations which are capturing the data of everyday citizens, and governments are able to take advantage of it. With this happening, countries will start to lose sovereignty and control over their data and their citizens. So this is an interesting issue to follow on in our modern day, where information is flowing across borders, at high speeds with no control. Number 6, Mahathir highlighted the need for the United Nations to move forward from a single veto policy, where you have 5 countries who's able to veto any policy and to be able to control the direction of the United Nations. He has suggested that they use a more democratic system, where maybe it requires 2 nations with the veto power to propose a veto and a simple majority from the other UN members. So what do you think is the best way forward for the UN? Do share with us in the comment section below on your thoughts on all of these 6 points, and let's continue this conversation. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up, share this video, and do remember to subscribe. Also, to our podcast listeners, do the same as well, and thank you very much for listening.